after your injury, like what were those 4 months like? Kind of like what supports did you get? Maybe even like social emotionally, what were your concerns outside of your capacity to do your job? Like what were your fears and
Um, One thing, the big thing, that was so huge for me was the people who I had in my life. I have uh I have the I have the greatest group of uh, uh, my family, my immediate family, and my friends who are, who have become family. I'd be lost without them. It's really the people who were just there, people who, I didn't let and I didn't let them treat me any different. And that's always been a thing for me is like, yeah, I'm a dude that uses a chair, but my goal is like within 10 minutes of meeting me, you don't even see the chair anymore,
yeah.
you know. Um, and and in return, they also in the early on, they didn't let me use the chair as an excuse, just get up, dust yourself off, and gotta keep moving,
Kind
man.
of expanding on that topic, like I think one thing that might hold people back from working with those with disabilities is like the etiquette and like the concern that they're going to do something offensive if they haven't interacted with people with disabilities in the past. Like if you were going to a new gym and you were hiring a personal trainer,
Yeah.
what would you want that first session to look like? Like what questions would you be comfortable with them asking? How would you want them to treat you besides, like you mentioned, that you don't even have a chair?
Um, yeah, so if I'm working with an able-bodied client, right? So, um, listen, no relationship works if it's not an open, honest setting for communication, right? So it's like let's get okay. So I teach at an inner city high school. Um, every semester we start a new class. You get freshmen, sophomores that have never dealt with anybody in a chair before, and they come in and they see me, their phys ed teacher, uh, using a wheelchair. Now we get the phones out, people, Snapchat me and recording me. And I'm just, in that first class, you're just like, all right, you know, let's go. Give me your questions. Give
Yeah,
me anything you want to ask.
get it out of the
Let's
way.
get this out, and, we'll talk about it. And some people, with kids, inner city kids, some of them, start to think about it a little bit. It makes an impact. And those are kids like you are able to form deeper relationships with. Other people, you know, it takes time, but like working with the training clients, as far as them working with me, there's, and whatever I don't get offended easily. You got to have thick skin, in this situation because got some you got some people out there saying some wild stuff. I've heard wild shit, in the 16 years that I've been in a chair. Um, but as far as me working with them, I'll offer up, information, and also you gotta massage personalities. Like, and when you're working in a service-based industry, kind of like this, we have to understand that everybody is their own individual, and you cannot. I think not only for us, but bigger picture, um, people would be better off not generalizing, not having assumptions about an entire community based on,
One
one interaction or one or two people,
Yeah.
you know.
How do you think your SCIs made you a better personal trainer?
Um, I put myself into positions, um, uh, now before, so it's like I'll sit back and I'll think about the program. I'll think about I'll do a needs analysis for somebody, and then I'll do my own research, and understand if there's something about their situation that I don't know. I'll do my own research, and that, I just like, and you're the same way. We're lifelong learners,
Mm,
and uh, you know, the more people with diverse backgrounds I meet, the better I'm going to be. And
yeah.
it's just being a sponge and being empathetic to them and learning about them. And some people don't want to offer any information at all,
Mhm.
and it's just like you got to respect that. But
I could imagine being unable to demonstrate some movement might improve your communication skills by
hundred
default. Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
right? Both, as a phys ed teacher, I'm the track coach at the high school, the girls track coach at the high school. I mean, being a track coach in who uses a wheelchair, your verbal cueing is much more on point.
Yeah.
Trial and error, it was bumpy in the beginning, but
How has your life improved post SCI outside of kind of finding that purpose?
yeah, man. So it's all, like those perspective. It's all about perspective. I don't really have bad days. I mean, listen, I deal with a lot of shit. I go through a lot of shit. I deal with some stuff, right? And it's not easy. But I understand that I take accountability and I put myself in situations where I make decisions that might have a negative effect on me, but you try to learn from those experiences. Outside of that, like every day is a gift, man. So it's like um, all about perspective. It's like it's cliche and it's been some Tony Robbins stuff, but it's like the get to instead of have to. You know, uh, if you look at life and understand that as tough as your situation may be, somebody out there has it worse, and they are thriving. Like, and I also think a lot about my family and my friends and um, how much people have poured into me. I for damn sure better show up and live my life the best I can to,
Yeah.
like pay it back and pay it forward.
There's one I was reading a paper recently, and it was more in like the medical profession, so more physicians based, but it was like 80% of doctors assume that people with disabilities have a worse quality of life and that they like resent their disability, but that doesn't appear to always be the case.
Right.
So it's like sometimes even the people in the highest level of their profession are putting limitations and misconceptions and per like a different perspective than the one that you actually adopt. And so it's like having the conversation kind of alleviates that and will actually give you insight into how someone actually approaches their disability instead of assuming that they're miserable in their
Yeah,
state.
100%. I think there's a lot of that. So one thing about myself now and is, you know, I've always recognized that it's the people that you have in your life. So I surround myself with people who motivate me, people who inspire me, right? So it's like we've done some projects together, and I look at you, you are motivating and I don't like the word inspiration
I
really,
was
but
about to ask you that
yeah,
afterwards with like we tend to ask everyone kind of like the inspiration narrative. Like, are you comfortable with people saying that you're inspirational?
man,
Do you like that?
when I'm at the food store and I'm like just you know picking out some frozen broccoli, and somebody's like, "Man, you are so inspirational." I hate that shit.
Yeah, well, Jesse was like, if I'm because I had the same conversation with Jesse, and she was like, well, if I'm actually doing something that's like beyond what you
Yeah,
would expect of me, then that
yeah,
you can call me motivational in that regard. And she's like, I like being motivational. I like hearing that how I approach life influences other people. But it's like the inspiration porn where you take someone with a disability doing a rudimentary
yeah,
task and you're like, wow,
yeah,
that's so awesome. Whereas like, while that's an well intended, it's just going to continue to change people's perspective of disability and like lower their expectations.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's a perfect way to put it. But um,
So the inspiration narrative, if you're actually doing something where you're pushing beyond boundaries or you're excelling in your career, like that stuff can be motivational.
yeah. So it's I don't know. I don't know. I
You can
guess
be
it's
motivational in spite of your injury.
yeah, totally, right? So those are the people I surround myself with, like people who motivate me, just people who I admire, admirational. That's the word.